How's it going, everybody? I am the Texas Man. I hope you guys are all having a fabulous day. Please give this video a thumbs up if you guys really enjoy it. Subscribe if you guys have not already. Also, do me the biggest favor of all. Hit that bell notification button so you guys don't miss out on future videos or streams here on my channel. With that, of course, we are going to be continuing on with reading through The Island 3 Unleashed. This is part 5, the final part here for The Island 3 Unleashed. And this will be the concluding part and concluding two chapters. We got two chapters left, chapter 6 and chapter 7. This will be concluding this book and also concluding the Island trilogy as a whole. So if you guys haven't checked out the Island, all those parts, the Island 2 and all those parts, and all past 4 parts for the Island 3, make sure you guys watch those videos before you jump into this. And after we finish this, for this final part, we are going to be jumping into the next book, which is a really dark book. I'm trying to make it where I don't read everything that's all in like one tone. So like in the past, I did RMG, which was a romance kind of murder mystery thing. Then I did Stacy, which is purely romantic and kind of ballsy and weird. And then I did Stacy the Dark Secret, which is a romantic dark type of thing. Then I've been doing the Island trilogy, which is kind of, you know, mysterious and got dinosaurs and monsters and whatnot. So after this, I'm going to do a dark kind of science fiction horror book called The Nightmare Room. And then after that, I will be moving on to a really cool science fiction thing that is completely inspired by the Chronicles of Narnia, which is called the Digital Doom Chronicles. And then we will be jumping right in after that into my main book series that I wrote called The Chronicles of Unit 4. I know a lot of you guys have been really hyped for that, but I wanted to do some general overview of past stuff before we jumped into the main course. Of course, The Chronicles of Unit 4 is my main series. There's 12 total, and then after that we've got Delta Force, the Final War trilogy, and then Stacy 3, the Halo War. And I know you guys have been like, when are we getting to do have you read through your famous Chronicles Unit 4. It's coming, but like I said in past videos, all these books, they end up leading into the Final War, which is kind of like an Avengers thing. So do be patient. We will get there soon. I promise, guys. Also, before we continue reading on into this book, I want to let you guys know that there are several books that I've written that I am not reading through. I've got like House on a Cliff, Revelation, which is kind of inspired by the book in the Bible, and it was my own type of way of making my own version of it, of kind of like a Left Behind type of thing. But those books, those two in particular, for example, I'm not going to read here in videos and be putting them on my channel because they don't like fit into the overall narrative for the Final War and Avengers, and I don't want to waste your guys' time nor mine reading and listening to me read these books when we get to the Final War and they don't really matter. So all these books, all these characters, all these major creatures, dinosaurs, events, places, locations, weapons and stuff, they will all make a return in the Final War. So all the books, all the past ones that we've done, RMG, Stacy Dark Secret, the Island trilogy, and everything moving on before we get to the Final War, a lot of characters and whatnot will return. So I want to let you guys know I'm kind of cutting out some unnecessary books that I wrote that really didn't matter in the Final War. So just want to let you guys know that there are some books that I'm not going to read here on my channel that I wrote. If you guys want me to send you email copies of those for you to read on your own time, let me know in the comment section, and I'm more than willing to do so. With that, let's get started with the last part of The Island 3 Unleashed. Chapter 6. Space Station Sacrifice. Numbers looked to see Jack with the EMP grenade launcher in his hands and realized what was about to happen. "You won't be able to defeat my stepbrother because none of you are of pure heart," said Numbers, but Jack was. Time slowed down as Jack pulled the trigger on the EMP grenade launcher, causing a blue bullet to fire out of the chamber and land inside of Numbers. However, it did not explode. "Fool, you can't kill me. How do you plan to kill him?" said Numbers while laughing. Numbers dashed into Jack. However, his body did not vanish from sight. Suddenly, a bright blast of light blasted in front of the group, and blinded them from seeing Numbers for 5 seconds. As the light dimmed down, the team looked to see that Numbers had disappeared and died. "We did it," said Kate. "Look out!" yelled Chris to Devon. Suddenly, Devon was attacked by a remaining raptor and had his head ripped apart from the rest of his body. The head of Agent Devon Sunny rolled towards Jack, and the group of 5 ended the raptor's life quickly. "How many more people have to die before this island is defeated?" asked Chris. "I'm not sure, but I will agree with you that the death toll is too much," replied Tiffany. "Jack, the human shuttle is leaving," said Kate, "and with Titus on it, that will most likely head for the space station and the other alien shuttle," said Jack. "Andrew, I want you to level this base and return to the military base on the mainland in Orlando, Florida, while Chris, Tiffany, Kate, and I destroy the last alien shuttle, the possible creature-infected space station, and annihilate Titus forever," said Jack, giving Andrew several C4, a detonator, and a cell phone. "Where did you get the cell phone?" asked Chris. I found it in the armory, and although the alien shuttles had the ability to block cellular connections, I doubt the one in outer space will have much effect," replied Jack. Jack, Kate, Chris, and Tiffany dashed for the human shuttle, located the entrance doorway, and entered undetected. The door closed behind the group, and Titus piloted the shuttle for the core space station. Andrew quickly placed C4 in every building of the base to make sure no one and nothing could ever create the creatures that have roamed the 3 islands for over 800 years. Andrew called for a helicopter rescue, left Island 3 in the Bermuda Triangle 10 minutes later, and, once at a safe distance, pressed the detonator to blow up Base 2. "Take me to the military base in Florida," said Andrew to the 2 pilots. "That is where we have to go. California, Texas, and Florida are the only states that have not been overrun by the creatures," said a pilot. "Helicopter 496, this is base 445 Florida. Come in," said a voice on the pilot's and Andrew's headset. "This is 496. Go ahead, base," said a pilot. "Be advised when on approach, Florida's defenses are not holding and may be overtaken within the hour," said the voice from the military base. "Roger that, base. See you soon," said a pilot. As the conversation took place on the helicopter Andrew was on board, the human shuttle docked with the space station. The doors to the shuttle and the station opened, allowing Titus to leave the command bridge and leave the shuttle with the group of 4 watching him. "Let's move carefully to the second alien shuttle so I can blow it up," said Jack softly. Jack, Kate, Chris, and Tiffany walked out of the shuttle and moved stealthily throughout the space station, located the entrance to the second alien shuttle, and opened a doorway. "I will be back in a few minutes. I'm going to place C4 in the green sphere's core energy source, like I did with the first alien shuttle," said Jack. Jack left the group, boarded the alien shuttle, placed C4 on a gigantic green bubble, and walked out of the alien shuttle without alerting anything. "What now?" asked Tiffany. "We place the last of my C4 on the space station's core energy source, leave, and blow this place sky high," replied Jack. The team continued to walk around the space station, discovering the kitchen with all the dead bodies of workers, blood pools left on the steel floors, guns and bullets flying on the floor, and even a few dead raptor bodies in the mess hall. "Be on your guard. There might be raptors in the station," said Chris, seeing the mess hall. "Over here," said Kate, showing a staircase that led to the lower level of the space station. "Good work, Kate. The energy source has to be downstairs, since we haven't located it anywhere else," said Jack. The group cautiously walked down the stairs and saw a bright green light flashing upon the walls of the lower level. Once the group was on the lower level's floor, they saw the core energy source, which was a gigantic green sphere that was guarded by 20 raptors and Titus. "Welcome to your demise," said Titus. "You mean your end, right, Titus?" asked Jack, pressing down on the remote detonator. Suddenly, the entire space station shook, and the second alien shuttle was turned into particles. "I have to destroy the space station because the DNA of all the creatures on the islands is inside of the mainframes of this place, and I will not allow more creatures to be constructed for research," said Jack, out loud. "You have just destroyed the only way to your home planet," said Titus. Jack and his team were confused because they still had the human shuttle to return to Earth. Suddenly, the raptors charged towards the group, after regaining their balance and tried to eat the 4 walking stakes, but were defeated by the machine guns. Then Titus used his powers and closed all the doors so no one could escape, and charged towards the group himself. The group opened fire upon the evil mummy leader, yet the bullets were ineffective and only bounced off of his body. "You all must die," said Titus. Once Titus reached the group's position, the saddest moments in history occurred. Titus threw his arms with intense force and slammed the group against a wall of steel. Then Titus picked up Chris and Tiffany and threw them into the core of the station and burned them to death while alive. Time froze for a few seconds as Jack and Kate realized their best friends were burned to a crisp. Moments later, the bodies of Chris and Tiffany Miller disappeared. "No!" yelled Kate. "Go to hell, you monster!" said Jack. Kate screamed loudly, ran over towards Titus, and leaped onto the mummy's backside and ripped off the head of the evil leader. While Kate distracted Titus, Jack placed the last C4 on the core energy source, with the creature DNA files inside of the mainframe as well, and set an automatic timer to blow up the space station in 3 minutes, no matter the sacrifice. Kate was hurled off of Titus's back, placed his head back on his body, and fired ice spikes from his eyes at Kate. Jack Woodson raced over towards his wife, Kate Woodson, and saw the ice spikes had hit near her heart. Kate was breathing heavily at first, and eventually began to breathe slower and slower until she was gasping for air. "I don't want to let you go," said Jack. "Jack, just like I said before Flight 193 went down, one day you'll perish from this planet, and we'll be together again," said Kate. Kate gasped in her final seconds, and suddenly her heart stopped, her eyes closed, and she died on the space station. Jack cried for a few moments, stood up, and looked behind him to see Titus prepared to finish the one of pure heart. "Let's end this, Titus," said Jack. Maybe you are pure of heart. Pure. Give me a second. Maybe you are pure of heart, Mr. Woodson, but you don't know why you have odd powers, said Titus. "Tell me why I'm a dreamer of the future and have super strength," said Jack. "You may not believe me, but ever since we met, I knew this was your answer. You are a mummy just like me. You have been in human form for so long that you have lost several of your normal powers and have gained different ones. Also, because you remained in human form for too long, you lost memory of your true identity and are only able to use your powers before and while on the islands because this is your area. Because this is the area your ship crashed in over 800 years ago. That is why Pirate Flint, his wife Sue, and his pirate crew were able to discover the gold creature eggs. It is because you brought them with you on your ship, and that is why you have been able to succeed in killing them all," said Titus. "I don't believe you," said Jack. "Do you have a better answer for your powers?" asked Titus. Jack did not believe Titus at all at the information, yet believed him since it was the only thing that made sense, and realized he destroyed the only way home, and suddenly began to remember everything about his powers. "Jack, don't sacrifice yourself on this station to protect a planet full of powerless people. They are destroying a great planet that we can use for the better. Our homeworld is dying, and we must relocate. Or we will all perish," said Titus. Suddenly, Jack transformed out of his human form and into his true identity, a mummy. "I will not allow the human race to be annihilated to save a race of pure evil. I have lived on this planet for hundreds of years and have learned that the human race has the right to live on Earth for as long as God allows," said Jack. "Then prepare to meet your maker," said Titus. Jack and Titus quickly fired a ray of fire from the palm of their hands while the C4 reached 30 seconds until detonation. As the clock continued on the C4, Jack flashed back in time in his mind to when Flight 193 crashed, the adventures on Island 1 and 2, the realization Kate did not drown, Pirate Flint and Sue, Chris as a boy growing up to marry Tiffany and raising a family, the adventures on Island 3, and meeting Agent Andrew Russell. Suddenly, the fire rate from both mummies ceased because they were unable to fire anymore. Then, Jack moved with extreme speed, walked directly in front of Titus, and ripped his heart out from his chest. "I'll see you soon," said Titus. "No, you won't. You're going to hell while I'll see my wife and friends in heaven," said Jack. The C4 exploded, and fire engulfed the entire space station, killing Jack Woodson. Chapter 7. Forever. As Agent Andrew Russell approached the military base in Orlando, Florida, on the helicopter, he and the two pilots looked to see all the creatures turn to dust. News broke out that all the creatures globally were turned to dust, and the threat was no more. The next day, Andrew was in his house in Texas, and the world learned of the core, and that Jack, Kate, Chris, and Tiffany died on board the space station through the television. 3 days later, Andrew was watching television news stated that the Bermuda Triangle's islands had sunk deep enough to remain underwater forever. 1 week after the unleashed creatures were defeated, Andrew left the Corps and the organization was declared no longer required. Year 2021, years after the end of the Bermuda Triangle. Because Andrew Russell was super old, he decided it was time to uncover family history. While visiting the local library, the police station, and the new FBI headquarters in California, he learned of the following. Andrew had a brother named Jack, and they were separated from each other at a young age because of a divorce. Andrew was given the mother's last name, while Jack was given the father's last name, and that meant Andrew was not completely human. The reason being is that after the space station exploded, Jack's body was recovered in space, and his true identity was made known to the world. Because of Andrew's research, he realized that his parents, Jack and himself, were and are mummies from another planet. "I swear that I will use my powers in secret for the good of this world, just like my brother did," said Andrew. Days later, Andrew joined the United States Armed Services to combat the rising threat of terrorism as a Navy SEAL member in Navy SEAL Team 6. 11 years later, Andrew retired and in 2032 died of old age at 73. As I, Jack Woodson, looked around the plane of Flight 193, I saw a man with a crazy hat, a hunter, a school teacher, 2 twin brothers that were scientists, and my wife Kate. I just returned from the restroom because of the oily pizza I ate, and the plane began to hit turbulence. I soon saw an island not too far in the distance, and the plane hit more turbulence. I looked at my wife's face and realized Flight 193 was crashing, actually, for the first time. I also realized that I had seen all the events from book 1 to the end of book 3. I wonder if that was reality and I am in a dream, if that was a dream and this is a reality, or if I had been dead and in heaven telling a story that never really happened. All I know is that Flight 193 is about to crash. The answer is up to you to decide if this is reality, a dream, or a story that never occurred. And that's going to do it for me, guys. I want to give a really special thanks for the Island series really quickly. Ted Stahl was a co-author of the Island 2, The Creature, and the Island 3 Unleashed. He supplied creatures ideas of the Komodo dragon, the phoenix, the saber-toothed tigers, vampires, and the zombie pirates. He was and still is my biggest fan of the Island series, and he helped me to write the sequel and the epic conclusion book. Without his support and imagination, the second and third book would never have been written. Cody Russell, you are one of the co-authors of the Island 3 Unleashed. He ended up giving me ideas for the piranhas in the epic finale, and although he didn't have the opportunity to read book 1 and 2, he did end up helping me with some ideas for the conclusion by adding a lot of battle scenes and adding in a bunch of other creatures that I thought I never needed to do so. Thirdly, I want to give a big shout out and thank you for support to my brother, Devin Armstrong. Though he's not a co-author, I honestly feel like he was somebody that helped me do a lot of processing and writing out the trilogy. He helped me do a lot of proofreading through all of the books, and he gave me a lot of advice to make a lot of the scenes for action a lot better and longer, and helped me with the intensity of bringing a lot of the characters to life. Another big achievement I want to give to Devin was the way that Chris Miller grew up from a 10-year-old boy to marrying Tiffany and having a son. He and I worked a great deal on making sure these characters stood out, especially for Chris. And sometimes Chris was even a lot more important at times of what was going on in the story, more than Jack Woodson. We also wanted to make sure that Chris received nearly a lot of the dialogue of like asking funny and odd questions, and also making it where those questions were dealing with good amounts of information. And yeah, so Devin really helped me a lot with Chris. I want to also give a big shout out really quickly to Paul Woodson, Tristan Nagelkirk, and Jesse Rominsky. They were all great supporters, and they ended up providing a lot of great feedback. The versions that I read to you guys for the Island 1, 2, and 3 were not the final versions. I actually had to rewrite all 3 of these books 3 times to get them to the state that they were at before concluding and finishing them. So, yeah. I know a lot of people are like, oh, writing a book is extremely easy. I want to let you guys know for a fact that even though these aren't published and they are just for fun, I spent a lot of time and effort putting my soul and energy into writing these books. So I hope you guys all enjoyed. We are officially done with the Island 3, and we are officially done with the Island trilogy. So the next book I will be reading for you guys is The Nightmare Room, coming out very soon. You guys all have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.